Hey everyone, we are back for week number 3 of the Lucas and Lee podcast.
Let's go. So excited. We're getting such a huge reaction on the Lucas and Lee podcast. We have a lot of people commenting. We love the comments. Please feel free to comment. Make sure you like and subscribe because what we're doing here is a lot of fun and we want you to be a part of the fun. Now, I understand a lot of comments have been coming in.
We have been getting some comments when we were talking about, or at least I was discussing how I, was happy for and supported my ex-wife, even though she was the main breadwinner, made way more than me, and had a bigger title job-wise than me. Fit Lurie commented, preach.
Oh yeah, combined fitness in the house.
Commented, preach.
Fitness. Yes, absolutely.
I'm shocked she also didn't tell me to go for a run.
She's a big-time runner. She's actually in great shape too.
So we were talking about how long it takes in episode 1. Talking about how long it takes a woman to make up her mind to leave a relationship. Yeah. And so we got a comment on X, formerly known as Twitter, from Rudy Roo 82. Hey, if you can get an extra 5 months of booty, more power to you.
Okay, I will say that most of the times, though, when you're in those 5 months, you ain't getting no booty. Women do not have sex just to have sex. Men will have sex just to have sex. Women do not usually have sex just to have sex. So if you stop having sex, chances are that relationship's ending.
Sorry, Rudy Roo.
It doesn't usually work that way.
No bonus sex for you.
No bonus sex for you.
And last but not least, Catherine had a bone to pick with your statistical analysis of women over 40 being single.
Yeah.
She actually went in and also read the research and whatnot. And she is making the claim that you were wrong on your analysis, and that it isn't that successful women over 40 are single. Successful women over 40 are lonely.
Well, that was actually what I said. To be real, and the stat was, I said the loneliest people in America are women over 40 who are successful and single. That was the comment.
Yes, and I think what she was trying to say is it wasn't just successful and single, it's just successful, period.
So success. Okay, so she's saying that women over 40 that are successful are lonely.
Because they feel the need to pour a lot into their career and focus a lot of time on their career.
I'd also like to add, though, so wouldn't the lonely ones that are single, they'd be lonelier than the ones that are in relationships? Right?
They would be.
So that would be the,
Sometimes there are some relationships that are lonelier than being single.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is that women over 40 who are successful are very lonely, for the most part.
And that segues very well into our very first topic of the week.
Ooh, Giselle and Tom Brady, and Giselle is pregnant by a jiu-jitsu instructor.
By the jiu-jitsu instructor. My first question when this news came out was, did it happen pre-jiu-jitsu instruction, during jiu-jitsu instruction, or post-jiu-jitsu instruction?
Well, so the way I read this originally was that he was the children's jiu-jitsu instructor, right?
He was the kids' jiu-jitsu instructor.
And she had an affair with him and then eventually left Tom Brady for the jiu-jitsu instructor.
That is correct.
Which is like leaving your husband, who is a millionaire or billionaire, for the pool boy.
Well, if your husband is at the office 23 hours a day, yes, you are going to eventually leave your husband for the pool boy.
Yeah. I think you and I have a disagreement on who the biggest loser in this situation is. I think that Giselle is, because Tom Brady he left football, so he's the best quarterback in NFL history. Can we say that?
Yes, he is the best. Well, I mean, there's this guy named Joe Montana that I'm a little partial to.
I love Joe Montana, but he didn't play for 20 years. So, so I mean, I'm not even a Brady fan, just a realist. I love Joe Montana. I just think Brady, we have to give it up to him. I mean, to play from 2001 until, 2022?
Yes, but my 49er fandom card would be revoked if I did not say Joe Montana was the greatest quarterback of all time. So I'm sticking with that.
Okay, yeah, for sure. But he's also very successful now in his broadcasting career. Regardless of what you say, he's getting paid millions upon millions of dollars to be a broadcaster and just basically comment on football. So he's got that income coming in right now. He also is part owner of the Raiders as well. So
is that a bonus or a negative?
Well, if he can turn them around and make them a winner, gosh, that would be incredible. That would be the biggest bonus ever. So I look at him and he's at the height of his success right now. I don't know you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know what Giselle is doing right now as far as career goes. I'm not sure if she is doing as well as Tom Brady in her career right now. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. I definitely think in the dating world she isn't. I think she dropped the ball by hooking up with the jiu-jitsu instructor. Not like the world pro in jiu-jitsu, not like the best jiu-jitsu player of all time, or in Lee's world, the second most, which would be definitely pretty cool too. Yeah. She's dating a local Miami jiu-jitsu instructor.
Lucas, I do have to disagree with you here. Tom Brady is the loser here. First off, he abandoned his marriage.
Well, did he abandon it because she cheated, right?
He abandoned it.
She cheated.
I think he abandoned it because he was not there. He wasn't present. He had made a deal with his wife, the mother of his children, one last year. That's it. I'm retiring. I'm going to be a husband. And he went back on that. He came back to play for a 500 Tampa Bay Buccaneer team that got beat by the Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs. You left a supermodel wife for that. There is that famous sideline quote. They caught him on camera, hot mic. He's yelling at his offensive line, and he said, "I didn't leave my wife for this shit." He's the one who abandoned.
It's a great comment.
He's the one who abandoned his wife. And Lucas, I see all the points you're making, but career achievements, at least to me, and we're talking about the hopeless romantic here.
Yeah, I know for sure.
I would pick being married, and especially if it's the woman you love and the woman you have children with.
You're assuming that he loves her.
Assuming, yes.
Because, there is a line I'm going to throw out there, and a lot of people might get mad at the line. Show me a hot girl, and I'll show you a guy who's tired of having sex with her.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. And people might hate that line, but it is a true, and I know a lot of women don't want to hear that, but they always ask, why are these guys that are very successful cheating on their beautiful model wives? And that's the reality.
But to me, I would pick the family life. I would pick the people, the woman I wake up to every morning, the kids that I get to take to school every morning. I would pick that over any career success.
But you can still take the kids to school in the morning. You don't have to have the wife. You can still be a part of your kid's life. You don't need to stay with the wife.
But I'm just saying, in the entire family unit, in the whole family unit, I would choose that over career success.
Well, maybe Giselle wasn't being transparency. There was no transparency in the relationship when she was wanting him home more. Maybe she wasn't expressing that, or maybe Brady wasn't being transparent.
I think in this case, it was Brady wasn't being transparent. I think when he, and this is just us conjecturing, but when he said, yes, this is going to be my last year, he was probably saying, okay, I'm going to say that just to shut her up. And when we get to it, I'm just saying I'm going to come back for another year. That leads us into topic number 2 today, transparency.
Transparency is super important in relationships. One of the reasons why my marriage didn't last was we weren't transparent. There's I actually called my ex-wife up probably about a year and a half after the divorce, because a lot of people, blamed her for the breakup, but I took my ownership. I, like Tom Brady, am very ambitious. I work a lot, as you know. I'm about my craft.
You're always hustling.
You're always hustling. So I took my ownership in the fact that when a relationship ends, it's always 50-50. I guess maybe not always, but for the most part, it is 50-50. And I took the 50% ownership because I definitely was absent and focused on my career more than I and I focused on the children, both the career and the children, more than I focused on my wife.
Well, the last 10 months of my marriage, I was absent and focused on trying to live and survive.
Which, you had no choice.
I had no choice on that one.
That part, you had no choice.
And, I always look at the end of my marriage as kind of an outlier in regards to how people react. As we discussed on previous episodes, my wife wanted to file for divorce a year prior, and then I got sick, and she decided to stick around and take care of me.
Which I think most women would. Most good women, yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
And like I said, I will always forever be grateful. But I can only imagine in cases like that where someone says yes. And I remember specifically, I asked her after the initial shock wore off, and I'm like, well, what about all those times you said you loved me? And she replied, yes, I loved you as a friend. And I remember saying, wow, I got friend zoned by my own wife.
How do you get friend zoned in a marriage?
How do you
I gotta give you a hug, man, because I've been friend zoned, but not by my wife.
Friend zoned by my wife. Yes, that did happen, people.
Yeah.
Welcome to my love life. But, I think the circumstances behind it is why when she did decide to say, we're done, I'm filing for divorce, I was very magnanimous and gracious and nothing but grateful and happy because I was still there. I was still alive. I think a lot of people in that same scenario, if your wife or husband, boyfriend, girlfriend comes up to you and says, I was thinking about it for about a year, that's where the hard feelings come in. It's that lack of transparency, which is what causes people to be mad and bitter at each other at the end of any relationship, especially marriages.
Yeah, I think you should always be transparent. I think you should always be real. And I don't think you should beat around the bush. I'm tired of the word friend, because friend is almost like a weapon word now. When a woman says the word friend, it is not a compliment. She's not saying it as a compliment usually either. So transparency, instead of saying, I loved you as a friend, go, I loved you at that time, and unfortunately, I've fallen out of love with you.
And
That's real.
It is. And once again, I will use my marriage or my relationship as up until the time I got sick, we actually were fairly transparent with each other. And there's a way to do it. I mean, we were adults and we had adult conversations with each other. And if there's something she did that bothered me, I would just be like, hey, this happened and I was bothered by it. Vice versa. In fact, I specifically remember 2020, and I'm in my home office, and it's the middle of, everyone knows I do politics for a living. That is my bread and butter. I'm in the middle of a pretty heated campaign, and I'm on the phone with my client, and I, pop out a couple of expletives that should never be uttered in public ever, period. No. And she just came up, and she was just straight up, hey, I don't want to ever hear that in this house ever again. She wasn't mad. She didn't yell. She was just very firm and was like, hey, I don't appreciate it. And I don't want to hear that in this house ever again. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, and you followed the rule.
Point taken.
So, and you are a very political person.
I am. So
how does it work in your relationships? Could you date somebody that had different political opinions than you do?
Yes. And
have you done that before? Have you dated somebody that's different? Well, you're really down middle of the road.
I am.
Right?
I am pretty. I'm like maybe like 2 steps to the left, maybe 2 steps to the left, but pretty middle of the road.
Yeah.
I've talked to people who have had different political views than mine. In fact, the one woman I brought up, episode number 1, who was moving as slow as a snail, she just off the bat, she said, hey, I'm MAGA and I'm voting for you-know-who. And I gave her the answer, the response that I always give is like, hey, politics is politics, relationships is relationships. I don't think your politics should dictate how you act in a relationship. That being said, there are people out there, especially on dating apps, and I will say this happens mostly on the right, that, you'll be going through Bumble and their profile will say, I'm MAGA if you aren't swiped left. And I just continuously continue. In fact, there was one person a few months ago I was talking to. We were having a great conversation. And then she's like, who are you voting for president? And I was like, hey, well, I'm voting for this person. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, excuse me? And I told her, hey, you don't see me judging you for your presidential preference. And she was just straight up, I'm MAGA, and if you don't love it, you can leave. I was like, knock yourself out, sister.
Yeah, see, I have never really, and I guess, I definitely think that we date a lot of different people, but it's never come up in relationships about political viewpoints with me or whoever I'm dating. It would be a complete turnoff to me if I was out on a date and somebody said, I'm voting this way, and if you're not voting this way, then we have an issue. That'd be a complete turnoff.
That's a turnoff.
Yeah.
The way I always initially approach it is that this is America, this is a free country.
Yeah.
We live in a country where you can vote for who you want to vote for, and you're not going to be thrown in the gulag at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I also, look, people have various reasons for voting various ways. And I'm not going to sit here and prejudge you if you say I am voting for candidate X. Where I will judge you and question whether you can actually function in a relationship is if you come out and say, I am strictly not going to be with you if you are not going to vote for my person or support my person. Because what that tells me is that, look, relationships are about compromise. Relationships are about the fact that somebody may want to do something, you may want to do something. There are going to be times you have to do what they want to do.
Yeah. It is about compromise.
And vice versa. And what that right off the bat says, when I see a profile, and I'm not picking on MAGA, I'm not picking on the right, but these are literally the only ones I've seen on Bumble.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Literally. When I see one that says, if you're not MAGA, or if you're not voting for 45, then you can just swipe left. That to me says that when it comes to that type, that's a very childish mentality.
I agree.
That's like, it has to be my way. And you're never going to be in a successful relationship. You just aren't. Because even if you meet someone who's like, yeah, MAGA, yeah, I'm going to vote for 45, there's going to be other things that happen in that relationship where that same mentality, it has to be my way or the highway, you're going to adopt, and that relationship at the end of the day will crumble.
Well, I know that you said you don't judge, but you judged me today.
I judged you hard this morning.
Because this morning, on my way to work, I was playing Malakaliki Maka is the thing to say. I've been playing Christmas music all day today. It is November 1st. Mariah Carey said I could. She went on her Instagram again this year. She had an Addams-themed video, the Addams Family theme. She had the whole Addams Family theme, and then it segued right into All I Want for Christmas Is You, and she said, it's time. Okay. And it is time.
For the record, just because Mariah Carey has defrosted does not mean it is time to play Christmas music. There is an entire holiday with an entire holiday season called Thanksgiving, which is a great holiday.
It's a great holiday, and I love to eat, but
you get to have all the turkey on the planet.
There's only one song. There's only one Thanksgiving song. It's like Labor Day. There's no Labor Day songs.
It's a season. Kids at school make pilgrim hats, okay? They make pilgrim hats and star in plays about the pilgrims, okay?
But it's not a
Midwest housewives put up signage, word art in their home that says it's fall, y'all. And in California, unfortunately, poor boyfriends are dragged by their girlfriends up to Apple Hill to spend an entire day taking photos in poses they don't want to be in when they could be watching Georgia, Florida instead.
Well, I will tell you this. The biggest thing is that there's no Thanksgiving music except Adam Sandler, right? That's the only Thanksgiving song.
Turkey for me,
yeah.
turkey for you.
Great song. But that's the one song. I think we can celebrate both. Can't we live in harmony with both?
No. Christmas starts the day after Thanksgiving.
That's Black Friday. It's already going to be in full swing.
Christmas starts on Black Friday. You get your Christmas tree between the last day of Thanksgiving and December 1st. Only until the last turkey leg has been eaten on Thanksgiving Day can you begin to sing, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
You're going to hate me for this. Because I've been listening to the Christmas music all day today.
I'm sure you have.
So
I've been listening to zero Christmas music all day.
And after I do agree with the Christmas tree, because I get a real Christmas tree. So I get the Christmas tree the Saturday after Thanksgiving. But my wreath is going up today. And I'm putting away all of my San Francisco Giant bobbleheads. They're being put away for all of my Christmas decorations. The bobbleheads will come back at spring training. They're put into my garage in a nice, safe place, and they will be back at spring training. It is now time to segue from Halloween and baseball season. right into the Christmas holiday
It's
season.
time. It's time to segue into pilgrim hats and get ready for some pumpkin pie and watching the Dallas Cowboys implode on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
That's what it's time for.
Well, speaking of Dallas Cowboys, they are the worst team. One of the worst. They've had horrible luck recently. Who's had the worst week ever?
Oh, there are a lot of people.
A lot of candidates.
A lot of candidates for the worst week ever. If you saw Thursday Night Football last night, you would see that Malachi Corey, who apparently forgets to know that you need to cross the end zone and score a touchdown. He is a candidate for having the worst week ever. Do you have some candidates?
Oh yeah,
I one more.
There's definitely a bunch of people that have had an awful week. Of course, Deshaun Watson has had an awful week. He is the most hated man in Cleveland. He's doing terrible. We have kind of a tie with Tom Brady and Giselle. You think that Tom Brady had the worst week ever?
I think Tom Brady had the worst week ever.
Giselle.
There's also the congregation in Brazil. I am trying to keep a straight face as I tell this story. There was a congregation in Brazil who had their pastor arrested because their pastor had convinced them that his loins were full of holy milk, and that the only way to receive the holy milk was to, well, you can use your imagination, but it involves getting on one's knees to receive the holy milk. That entire congregation definitely is also in the running for the worst week ever. But only one person gets the crown this week.
And who's the person you're giving the crown to?
Hey, Aaron Boone and the New York Yankees, we're looking at you!
Yes, but I actually am, and I know a lot of people are going to get mad at me. There's one specific person that plays for Aaron Boone that should get the worst week ever.
Would that be a guy who lives in Linden, California that way?
Yes, Aaron Judge. We give you, I know you might not want to, you don't have to agree with me. I think Aaron Judge had the worst week ever. First of all, I finally was excited for him. He hit a home run.
Hit a home run.
And then he had a routine fly ball. All he had to do was catch a routine fly ball, and he drops it, and that led to a 5-run rally for the LA Dodgers.
You know, I saw an interesting stat yesterday morning. In 2020, Judge's girlfriend was arrested in Arizona for DUI, and they gave her 2 field sobriety tests. One came in at .181, the other one came in at .169, both of which were a higher batting average than Judge had in the World Series, a .133.
I mean, how bad can it get for the man? All I know is that after he screwed over the San Francisco Giants, and he did, he had no intention of coming here. After he screwed over the San Francisco Giants, I have not seen him at a Thanksgiving Day run. So I go to the Thanksgiving Day run every year. And I applaud him because he sponsors it. But he used to be at every run. But he hasn't shown up since.
You know what I do during the Thanksgiving Day run?
What's that?
I get ready to celebrate a holiday that has an entire 3-week season to it.
Well, anyway, that's our podcast for the week.
That is our podcast with one final thing. Let's all cross our fingers that Sam Hartman actually sees the field for the Washington Commanders this week.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Hey, everyone. Thank you. It's been a great ride once again. We'll see you same bad time, same bad place next week.
Yes, and make sure you like and subscribe the Lucas and Lee podcast.
Thanks, everyone.